So the broadband stimulus, and in this case, the Illinois Century Network, we've been involved in two fronts in Illinois. So while we have submitted an application for the Illinois Century Network, we also, as a state agency, have been involved with our governor's office and a state agency kind of working group to determine how best can Illinois leverage its resources to get behind any of these applications that are coming from Illinois. So in round one, the first thing we did is set aside $50 million to provide us support for local match. And we set up a process where both public and private entities could apply to receive up to 10% of their project costs. And our notion was the state would contribute 10%. We'd like the applicant to contribute 10%, and that would have resulted in at least a 20% match, which was the requirement in round one. We also provided free technical grant writing, and so we reached out to our universities and found within the universities kind of the community-based units and that work on grants. And again, applicants, public and private entities, submitted an initial request to the state. There was a bit of a review and a clearing on that they were ready. They were at the stage where they were ready to really begin developing their grant. And then they were matched up with resources at their local university who provided that assistance throughout that grant writing. We had, out of round one, Illinois had 3 successful broadband projects. There was a 4th project that was a sustainable broadband adoption project, and that was City of Chicago received that award. But 2 projects, DeKalb County and Urbana-Champaign, they received BTOP middle mile projects. And then Norlight Telecommunications, a private company, received, on the RUS side, they received a BIP award. So in total, I think out of round one, although we pledged $40 million, those pledges were contingent on the applicant being successful at the federal level. And if they were not successful in round one, the state had no obligation on that local commitment. They'd have to come back and reapply for future rounds. So out of a pledging of $40 million, these 3 applications plus the sustainable broadband adoption, I think it was about $10 million that the state had committed. So then we moved on to round 2. And so at that point, we had $40 million left from the initial 50 to pledge for local match. We also went and did the free technical grant writing support. But this time, we realized this was the last chance, and we needed to take a more proactive approach. And so not only did we provide the matching money in somewhat of the similar format, but we pulled in some of the best and brightest throughout the state that are involved in kind of regional networks and broadband networks, and pulled a group and said, how best could we leverage our resources? And the outcome was that we were going to focus on, get behind and support fiber-based infrastructure projects. And we were going to work with these individual applicants to encourage more regional collaborations. Many of our applications were a single county or a single municipality. And in round 2, we wanted them to work together to have more substantive and broader scope projects. What we ended up with is 4 regional projects. We divided the state into 4 regions, and we branded our projects Illinois Broadband Opportunity Partnership. Right or wrong, the one thing we thought is the NTIA and RUS were writing wonderful press releases when they would do these awards and trying to turn this into layman's terms that somebody could understand. And so our thought was, forming these regional collaborations and giving them this nice name might be something that they could grab onto and get excited about. All of the projects had a few things in common. Of course, fiber-based. They all propose to offer speeds of 10 megs to 10 gigabits. Several of the projects will do 100 gigabits, and have the ability over time, to scale. All of the projects are willing to lease dark fiber. That was important to us because one of the things that's most frustrating to us anytime we've tried, I heard yesterday there was the discussion of when they were working on the national broadband plan, is there enough fiber out there and available? And the response they received was yes. Well, our experience is yes, there's fiber, but the folks who own it don't want to lease it. Or if they want to lease it, you've got to lease it from Chicago to some other state, and do the whole run. Also, it's all going in the same routes and in the same area. So it was important to us if state dollars, if taxpayer dollars were going to help fund this project, that fiber, dark fiber, had to be available to public and private entities. We'll have interconnections among all the networks, and so that the folks in the southern part of the state would have seamless access and transport to Chicago or to any of the other regions. And with that, we'd all have the ability to swap fiber if we wanted to buy transport on each, and I say buy, really just exchange transport on each other's networks. Collectively, these 4 regional projects extend fiber to all 48 of our community colleges. And I was saying to Marianne earlier when I met her in the iLights folks, this was actually an idea, I've got to give credit. We took this idea from your Round 1 application. And when we did this at the time, the National Broadband Plan had not been released. But NOVA 2 had a lot of emphasis on connecting community colleges. We saw Indiana's success in Round 1, and so we made that a real big push and a focus in our Round 2. And then all of these projects had local participation and support. Just a little overview of the 4 projects. They are all led by different entities, and it includes both public and private. In the Northwest, it's Northern Illinois University, and took a project that was probably 2 different counties and 1 city, brought them all together, turned it into a 10-county project, and then Northern Illinois took the lead as the lead applicant. Geneseo Communications was in the western part of the state, and that's a private company. They're actually a local exchange carrier, or the ILEC there in that area. They're looking to expand, and they also focused on and worked with the county 911 centers and promised to deliver fiber connectivity to those, the 11 PSAPs in their service area. Delta Communications, that's another private company. They're actually a CLEC, a competitive local exchange carrier. They're focusing on the 23rd most southern counties of Illinois. Again, they're also working with their 911 centers. And the East Central project, that is our application, the ICNs. It's covering 55 counties. And really what our area ended up, as the other projects came together, we took what was left, what they weren't going to build to, and picked up those areas and focused on, again, getting connectivity to our POP sites as well as to the community colleges in those areas. We also include a collaboration with a community-driven project that's being led by Illinois State University, and that's covering about a 3 or 4 county area, and they're going to take the fiber and build it out more extensively within the community, and they actually have partnerships with several businesses and local anchor institutions, and will build quite a more extensive local network. This is our proposed fiber route. You saw the slide earlier. It includes about just over 1,000 miles of fiber that we would be new fiber that we would install. And then it includes some existing fiber, some that we already have IRUs on, and others that we are proposing that we'd go secure an IRU on.